All right, August 13th had a pretty decent trade this morning, so I just want to break that down. Coming into the morning, we were at all-time highs, so I didn't really have anything from the left to reference. So there was no like zooming out and looking left for a reversal point. It just wasn't happening. So I want to start by giving you the framework for this trade. So I will put up the schematic right now. So normally I'd be looking for a sell shortly after 9:30 or going into market open. I'd like to see a shift in structure down right after taking out London session high. And this morning it happened a little differently. We kind of overshot it, but the behavior was still the same. So here is the schematic of what I was looking for, and just keep a mental note of that, and we'll head over to the chart. So as you can see here, I've got S&P on the left and NASDAQ on the right, and take a look at these timestamps. So my London session high on S&P over here on the left was taken out at 6 a.m. All right, so way too early for my trading hour, and vice versa on the right. You can see that NASDAQ took out London session high at just after 8:35 a.m. All right, so I was just watching the market at that time, waiting for 9:30. But since I didn't know when exactly the reversal was going to happen, I had to kind of wait on some other confluences because, again, like I said, there was nothing to the left to reference as a reversal area. As we approached 6,500 on S&P, I'll show you what I noticed. So if I drop down to the 5-minute, all right, so here's what I noticed shortly after 9:30 open. So 9:30 is this candle here. Price continues to kind of just march up, but take a look at what happens on S&P in relation to NASDAQ. If you look at these last three candles, they're quite bullish, with the last one just really showing that price seemingly wants to just go higher. But if you look at NASDAQ, within the same 15 minutes, price is pulling back. So I was asking myself, okay, why is NASDAQ not co-signing the move that S&P is doing? Somebody's lying. We're at all-time highs. You're looking at many bullish candles on S&P, whereas NASDAQ is starting to get exhausted. I'm telling myself, all right, so if everyone sees futures just booming right now and going higher, so I'm telling myself the more buyers that are already in the market means the less buyers there are to get in. All right, so when you have a whole bunch of buyers that are already in, then you have less of those individuals who will get in because you've already got so many in the market. I hope that makes sense. But basically, NASDAQ just wasn't having it. All right, so the confluence, the SMT between these two markets was really with NASDAQ's price action. So I began putting more focus on NASDAQ for shorts, and all I did was begin to wait for a bearish engulfing. So the first thing I was looking for was a bearish candle to close below this range here. Now in real time, that 5-minute candle looked like it was about to close down here, but coming into the close, it got bought right back up. So this was not my bearish engulfing that I used for an entry. I'm just going to hit the play button and show you when that engulfing actually came in. All right, it was right here. So I ended up moving my box of interest here on this up close candle, and as you can clearly see, we've got some divergence at the highs here between these two markets, as well as that very nice bearish engulfing here. So I dropped down to the 1-minute for the entry, and let me show you what I did. So I wasn't sure if price was going to come back into this this order block here from the 5-minute. So I identified this inversion fair value gap. This is where I was looking to sell from. I wanted to see price do a very deep retracement to get me into this trade. So I had my limit order here and my stop just above the previous swing high, targeting 3R to the downside, okay? But price never got up there. So what happened was, if you look at the left, the S&P filled in this 1-minute fair value gap, and from there price flowed lower beyond this level, which would be the external range liquidity for this little internal to external setup. So if I hit the next candle here, all right, so you see how we get this close below this previous swing low over here on the left. So I'm looking at price pretty much just drop and start to head towards my target without me being in this position. And I wanted to give it one more chance to see if price could consolidate, maybe make some low resistance liquidity for price to kind of rally just a little higher to get me in and continue to drop. But then that ended up not happening. So I had to wait for a whole new sell side imbalance to be present, but this is how that looked. So if I just go to the next candles here, And I'm just going to pop back up just to the 5 minute to show you how that happens. So you see this right here, price goes into this 5 minute sell side imbalance right here. And I was watching to see, all right, if this hits external range liquidity, which would be the previous low, then I will abandon my idea of trying to get in on NASDAQ and I will just focus on S&P. So dropping back down to the 1 minute, price had already reached into that 5 minute, all right? And I'm looking to see if we can get follow through past this swing low. And if I get that, I'll just wait for the very next sell side imbalance to sell from, right? So here's what that looked like, right? You can see price kind of pops up, takes out these equal highs, and then right here, boom, we get follow through past that previous swing low, which would be the 5 minute internal to external range liquidity. This is where I got my entry right here on this small 1 minute imbalance. I put my order right on the gap itself. My stop went above the previous swing high, and this is where I targeted 3R to the downside. Now this put me right in line with a 5 minute buy side imbalance. I'll show you that a little more clearly. It was formed at 4:05 a.m. on S&P on the futures market. Okay, 4:05 a.m. You can see that my target is just past that area, right into this bullish order block from 3:50 a.m. So with that being said, I will go back to the 1 minute. You can see there's a little bit of a volume imbalance right here just before the gap itself, and you'll see why that's kind of key. But that's where my entry was, and I'll hit the play button. All right, price taps the volume imbalance, then taps me into the trade. And then from there, the melt happens, right? I'm going to hop up to the 15 minute, show you something very interesting. So as price was dropping, you can see how close we are to London session low on NASDAQ in relation to the same level over here on the left, right? We're much further away. So again, that gave me confidence that if price was going to take out London session low on NASDAQ, it was likely going to hit my little 3R target on the way down on S&P, okay? And here's what that looked like. All right, price takes out London session low, enters a 4-hour buy side imbalance on NASDAQ. There's a pullback there, but you can see how that looks over here on S&P. So if I hop out to the 4-hour, you can see there's that 4-hour gap right there. And that was the liquidity pool that got me to my target. All right, and just take a mental note of the formation on the right, right? Taking out London session high, reversal all the way down, and compare that to the schematic. All right, that's basically the setup, but I took it on S&P due to price not pulling back into the area I wanted to get in on NASDAQ. So I had to be a little bit flexible, a little bit quick, but that was my trade from this morning, and here is the recording.